They don't know what men and women are, hence why Democrats are now reportedly doing this. Democrats spending millions to learn how to speak to American men and win back the working class. So you see, after years of telling men that they're toxic, too manly, too masculine, trying to turn them into these weak little weirdo guys, the majority of men, guess what? They don't want to vote for Democrats anymore. Shocker, right? The plan, codenamed SAM, or Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, promises to use the funds to study the syntax, the language and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. I mean, you got to be kidding me with this, everybody. Think about it. Democrats don't know how to communicate with guys anymore. They can't reach out to guys working within the Democrat Party, even ask them, have they ever played a sport, maybe spent time in a locker room? Better yet, did they never have a group of friends hanging out with the guys, the Democrats? What is going on? I think this is actually pretty funny. Their party has become so anti-men and woke and weak and really dominated by liberal women, they're having to spend millions of dollars to figure out how to speak to men. There is only two species of humans on Earth. Half of them are guys, and you don't know how to communicate with them. We got to put this into perspective. There are men within the Democrat Party, but those men are so weird and woke and modernized, they don't know what to do. So now they have to spend $20 million on how to figure it out. It's really not that hard either. Just be normal, right? Be a guy, be a dude. Common sense stuff, but they cannot. And really, we should have saw this coming. Look at who the man they propped up as their choice for vice president. Tim Walz, everybody. Running out on stage, waving around his arms like that in the crowd, a very feminine way. It's kind of weird, right? And then he went on to play dress up like a hunter on the campaign trail. That is not authentic. People saw through that. And he's also Tampon Tim. We cannot forget it. He wants tampons to be put in men's bathrooms in schools. Look, I hate to tell you this. For most guys, that stuff is not cool. It is weird. We don't like it. And then right after the election, the DNC made this guy their vice chair. That is David Hogg. He's a 25-year-old gun activist, living stick figure. Look, men, the guys that they want to get back on the elections, they're not going to respond to people like David Hogg. They're just not. The men on the left actually don't know what men are anymore. They can't define it. So how would they know what men want? Which brings me to my next point. This Newsweek, they actually published this article last year. It was titled this, How Hot Girls Became the Right's New Obsession. Now, since when did hot-looking girls become exclusively an obsession for the right? Huh? I'm really lost on this one. Doesn't every guy want to go out and find the most attractive girl that he can? I mean, that is just human nature. If the left doesn't, then that would mean that they are defying human nature and going after ugly girls to date and marry in order to prove that they are dedicated to the woke cause. You see, the fact that that article was even published, it is crazy. What are men supposed to do? Go after girls who look like this? Ugly girls with pink, blue, purple hair? Is this who we should date? I bet they would like that, but I'll tell you what, I'm good on that. No thanks. Here's another crazy article in The Nation. How red meat became the red pill for the alt-right. Now, since when did eating steaks, burgers, ribs, or whatever it is become an alt-right movement? Come on, man. I mean, red meat, it's delicious. I don't care who you are. What are men supposed to eat then? Salads, vegetables all the time, tofu, fish. Look, hot girls and red meat, they are really American things. Guys like them both a lot. And it is clear now why the DNC is spending $20 million to figure out how to talk to men. They consulted their own men and were told that hot girls and red meat is toxic masculinity. And then someone in the room was like, oh yeah, the guys we have aren't really men. We better figure out something, and we better do it quick. You see, you really don't need to hire a consulting firm to figure this one out. I don't know. Here's an example. President Trump, everybody. He built a billion-dollar business, has a supermodel wife. His favorite food is steak. Then he got shot in the head and stood up after, and he fist-pumped the crowd. He also stood up to a tyrannical government trying to throw him in jail. And then he won the presidency twice against all odds by talking pretty much just policy to the American people and explaining how he was going to fix things. And that's just one example. How about our vice president, J.D. Vance? You ever read his book? I have. He came from nothing. He survived coming from nothing. He went on to join the Marines, went to Ohio State, Yale Law School, built a multi-million-dollar company on his own, and then he became our vice president. It's toughness and it's leadership. Men like that. Go figure. And honestly, women, they do as well. Trump got 46% of the women's vote in 2024. That's almost half the women in our country. Obviously, I think it's a pretty good number for the party of so-called toxic masculinity. At the end of the day, it really boils down to this, I think. Democrats think Doug Emhoff, the former second gentleman, that somehow he was able to redefine masculinity.
Interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny, I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this. And to me, it's the right thing to do, you know, support women.
I'll tell you what, I think the problem they have is once American men realized Doug Emhoff was the image of masculinity for Democrats, men largely quit voting for Democrats. They ran for the hills. They abandoned their party, and Democrats still cannot figure it out.